Do I need to join with computer audio?
No, you don't want,
Okay, so I just.
or you want to stay muted,
Okay.
because it's on the phone, otherwise we'll get all kinds of feedback.
Do you want to continue without audio? Yes. Change my video. I don't even really want video. I don't need to be on here.
You can turn your video off too if you want. All right, so. Apparently you have to put the laptop on book so they're not staring up my nose.
Yeah, I have a box at home that I use.
Yeah.
Then I look like this. But yeah, you see on the chin.
I'm gonna let people start coming in.
Okay.
Joining. So hello, the few people are here early. We still got about 30 minutes before we're gonna start the meeting for real, so, now would be a good time to check and make sure you can hear everything okay.
confidence comes from way.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for coming here tonight. I'm assuming everyone's here to talk about the Oak Valley sewer system, because that's what we're here for. Just some real quick kind of basics on the Zoom meeting. My name's Carl Tappert. I'm the general manager for Oak Valley Sewer. And I'll be here. The purpose of this meeting tonight is really just an informational meeting to discuss the sewer system within Oak Valley and to hear any, field any questions you guys may have about how we're planning to move forward on this. With the Zoom meeting, for the most part, I'm going to keep everybody muted to keep us from trying to talk over each other. If you have a question at any point during this discussion, there is a raise hand icon at the bottom of the screen. There's should be an icon that has a little smiley face that says reactions, and if you click on that, it has a raise hand button. And if you raise your hand, I'll unmute you and let you, say what you need to say, and we'll be able to keep it pretty orderly that way. I do want to make sure that anybody who has questions or any comments gets an opportunity. So before we end the meeting, I'll make sure that everyone who wants to say something or ask a question has that opportunity. Again, like I said, this is an informal meeting. This is just an informational meeting. We're not going to be making any decisions tonight. The whole point of this is just to give you as much information as you can about the status of the sewer system. As we move forward, there will be formal public hearings, and that's where decisions are actually going to be made, but that's at least a couple weeks out into the future. So with that, I'm going to go in and get started. Looks like there's a whole bunch of people joining also. It's all at once here. So I want to start off with just kind of give you a brief overview of the history of the sewer system that's there now and what's going on with that. And some of you might already know this, but the subdivision itself was initially built around 1994. And the original design of that was for a mobile home park. And so the developer intended to build a mobile home park, drew up plans for a mobile home park, turned them into the City of Talent, got that approved. And then at some point between then and when it became final, they turned it into a subdivision. But they didn't bother changing any of the design of the infrastructure. So the infrastructure is all designed for a subdivision, whereas, designed for a mobile home park and not a subdivision. And there is very significant differences in between the two. As early as 1995, when the project construction was first completed, Oak Valley Sewer Service, we were called Bear Creek Valley Sanitary Authority at the time. So if someone says BCVSA or RVSS, it's the same organization. But we called out that this was not built to public sewer standards and refused to accept. There's actually a letter from DEQ kind of spelling out that whole thing, saying that this is not built to public sewer standards and it can't be accepted the way it is. Unfortunately, nothing ever changed. It hasn't changed at all. So the system's never been accepted for public use, although it has been used for over 20 years. The big difference between the sewers for a mobile home park versus the sewers for a subdivision. In a mobile home park, you have typically one property, one owner, and then that owner leases out or rents out the spaces to the individual tenants. And since it's one ownership, all of the plumbing within the boundaries of the park fall under the plumbing code. And so plumbing code standards are a little bit looser primarily because it's entirely up to the owner to has full responsibility for that. In a subdivision, you have separate owners on that, so that by definition becomes it's a common sewer and it's a public sewer, and it has a higher standard because you've got multiple different owners, you know. And I think that the logic behind that is, you know, if I do something that's going to foul up the sewer, that's going to impact my neighbor, if it's one ownership there, then, you know, it's a question of liability, who's responsible for it. So the, you know, the owner of the whole park would be liable for whatever happens to it. Whereas if it's individual ownerships, then you're impacting your neighbor's property. And for that reason, there is a higher standard for a subdivision. And the significant differences specific to what's built in the park, there's really three that are relevant. One of them is a minimum pipe size. In a public sewer, the minimum mainline pipe size is 8 inches. What we have within Oak Valley is mostly 6-inch pipe. There is a stretch that's only a 4-inch pipe that serves about 5 houses there. The next one that's important is manholes. In a public sewer, you're required to have a manhole every time you have a change in direction or a change in grade of the pipe. There's no manholes in Oak Valley. You know, there's bends in the pipe. They put cleanouts and things like that in there, but there's no manholes that would allow you access to do maintenance on the system. And then the last one, which I think is really one of the most important one, is easements. You know, if you're building a public sewer, you either have to put it in the public right of way, or if it's on private property, you have to protect that with an easement so that people don't put buildings on top of it, and so that the sewer district has the legal right to go in there and do maintenance or repairs, you know, as they're needed. And there's no easements within the park to protect the sewer system right now. And the sewer lines right now primarily run through the backyards of everyone's lots. And you know, they're really not accessible from a public maintenance standpoint. So that's where we are right now, is, you know, with the system. You know, is that, you know, what's there doesn't comply with public sewer standards. You know, there's been an order from DEQ that goes back 25 years that says you have to bring it up to public sewer standards. That's never happened. So, you know, obviously, you know, things have changed now because of the fire and all the homes have been destroyed. And at some point, people are going to want to rebuild. And when they go to rebuild, they're going to need to get a permit to connect to the sewer. And I don't have any mechanism to issue a permit to connect to the sewer because I don't have a legal public sewer within the system. Is something happening on the chat? Okay, okay.
Somebody can't hear you.
Did they get that figured out? Okay. So, you know, again, you know, sorry about that distraction. You know, so when we go to rebuild, you know, you're going to need to connect it to a sewer system of some sort. But since I don't have any legal public sewer to issue a permit for you to connect to, I can't issue a permit. So that's going to you know, stop the process in its tracks. So what we're trying to do here is to get this system built up to a level that satisfies public sewer requirements that would allow you, you know, to rebuild and hopefully not cause any delays in anybody's rebuilding process. And there's okay, someone's got a hand up? Yes, yeah, you can unmute them. There's a question coming in.
I had a question, if I'm unmuted.
Yeah, okay.
I missed who was initially notified and when. I missed that.
Notified of what?
The issue.
Of this meeting?
No, the issue. The sewer problem.
Of the fact that
who was initially notified and when? You said that nothing came back. There was something sent out, but there was no reply or response to it.
So This goes all the way back to like 1994.
And who was notified in 1994?
I think that the name of the original developer, I believe, was Leo Lomsky. That's one of the names that yeah.
Okay. And he was the original developer.
That is my understanding. There was a corporation name, and I can't remember exactly what it was that did the development, but I do have that information if we need that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So back to where we were, and I was talking about, the goal here is to bring this up to a standard that would allow people to go ahead and get rebuilt without any difficulty, any obstacles. We looked at really two different options, and the first option that I looked at was, well, what if we take all the pipes that are there and just use those in place and just bring that part of the system up to public standards? So what that would generally require is we would need to go in and we would need to put manholes at all the changes in direction. There's a section of 4-inch pipe that I mentioned earlier that would need to get replaced because there's no way we can have a 4-inch pipe serving 5 houses. The 6-inch pipe, we could probably grant a waiver on that, just given that it's not a huge subdivision. We shouldn't have too many capacity problems there. And then we would need to get easements across all of the lots. In addition to an easement following the line of the sewer mains, we would also need to get access built back to where all the manholes were. And there's some pretty poisonous pills with that approach. One problem is when you start dedicating all those easements, especially the ones getting back to where the manholes would have to be, it severely impacts the lots that are there. Almost none of the homes would be able to be built back within the same footprint that they were before. And some of them, like I said, particularly where we have to get access to a manhole in someone's backyard, it would be a very serious impact on that lot, and restrict what's going to be allowed to be built back there. Another problem with that approach is the timing of it, because we wouldn't be able to do any of that work until the lots are all cleared. We can't go in there and start digging and putting in manholes and that sort of thing while there's still fire debris on the site. And so we would have to wait until the place is cleared, and then we could do our work, and then you could start building. So it would really push back the rebuilding process a long ways. And then just on the logistical side of it, we would need to get easements from pretty much every single person out there. And that is a bit of a challenge. I mean, it's something that could be done, but it's, it would be a pretty daunting task to try to contact all those people and get the easements signed and recorded within a reasonable time. So there's a question?
From Chris Ross.
Yes, Mr. Ross. Need to unmute him. Did you unmute him?
It says ask to unmute.
Oh, he needs to Is there a question from Chris Ross?
He needs to unmute.
I think you're still muted if you're. Yeah, okay. Well, if we get him
Can you hear
unmuted,
me?
then.
Can you hear me
There you
now?
are. Okay, yeah, we got you now.
Okay, I
Yeah.
figured it out. Okay, I'm sorry. So who gave the initial approvals to proceed with the whole thing?
With the initial sewer construction,
With the, who gave the approvals to proceed with the home construction for the development?
my guess is that's going to be the City of Talent, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay. I was just curious about that. Who
Yeah.
would have given the approval?
Yeah, I think Yeah, I think typically that would have been the function of the city to issue the building permits for the houses.
And that very well could be, because it's my understanding that the mayor of Talent was given a lot within the development, during development. So,
Okay, yeah.
which was very interesting.
Yeah, I've heard that before, but I don't have anything that would confirm or deny that, so I'm gonna leave that alone.
Okay, okay.
All right, okay, so I was talking about the possibility of reusing the existing pipe system, and like I said, you know, just the number of difficulties that are associated with that, you know, it's my opinion that that's not a viable approach, just because the timing of it would be would push the reconstruction back too far, and you've got some major uncertainties because we don't really know exactly where that pipe is or any you know what kind of condition it's in. So you know that would have to be determined first. A more appropriate solution really is to rebuild the system. And to do it fully properly with you know 8-inch pipe. They would be in the road. We would have to cut pavement to do that, but it would bring everything out from the backyards and into the front of the buildings. We would put service laterals up to the lots, and you know we could start that work almost immediately, and have that ready and in place and functional. Probably about the same time the earliest people who start rebuilding are ready to connect to it. So overall, I think that's a much better approach. It's a much more reliable system. There's no questions about you know compliance or quality of construction or anything like that. So you know it would be a much better service to the community. So that's going to be my recommendation for how we solve the problems out there. Which brings us to kind of the next step of it, which is, you know, how do we go about financing, building this, and paying for that, and how that works. And so, what our proposal is going to be is that we use what we call a reimbursement district. And the way a reimbursement district works for us is, we would go in, we would actually do the construction. We would pay for the installation of the whole sewer system. Then when the project is done, we would take the cost of that project, and that would be allocated equally among all the homes that are benefited from that. When you come in to get your permit to connect to that, then you would be assessed your share of that cost. So that would be, you know, kind of part of your permit connection fee. The way that process works is, you know, and so I want to talk real quick about, you know, who's actually affected by this and who's not. And I'm going to share my screen real quick just so you can get a look at that. Ooh, okay. So this is, you know, the subdivision here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I want to get bigger. There we go. Okay. So the ones that I have highlighted, just give you an idea of what is, these heavy green lines, those are existing public sewer mains. These dashed purple lines is generally where we think the existing sewer system is. So it's going through these backyards. So the homes that I have, the lots that I have highlighted in red, they have already.
See your map. They can see the desktop, but not the map.
They can't see the map?
And I don't have either. You can see this.
I'm sharing my screen.
I know, and I can see the drive, but I can't see the map.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me change this. I'll stop sharing. Okay. All right. I know what I need to do. I need to do this. And then I go back. Okay. All right, let's try this again. Can you guys see that now? Okay, all right. Sorry about that. This is, okay, so just to give you a sense of what is what, these heavy green lines are existing public sewer mains. These dashed purple lines is generally where we think the existing sewer that you've been connected to are sitting. And then this thin green line is generally where we would put a new sewer main. It's not exactly, the alignments change a little bit from that, but that's in general what it is. These ones that are highlighted in red, many of them were already connected to the public sewer main, and they all have direct access to an existing sewer main. So they would not be part of this project. They would just tap into the existing lines that are bordering their property already. So it's these ones further to the south, these would all be the ones that are affected. So there's 77 lots within the subdivision. There's 12 of them that we would not include as part of this project, but the other 65 would be part of the project. You know, like I said, the way that the cost would typically be allocated is when we're finished with the project, each lot would pay an equal share of that when they go to do a connection. And here's where everyone gets, you know, here's where it gets ugly. But you know, this is about a $780,000 project, and we're looking at about $12,000 per lot is what the total cost would come to.
Another question from Sharon Douglas.
Yeah. Okay. There's a question. There's some. Did you unmute him? Okay.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, all right. So here's the timing of it, and the way the process works is to form a reimbursement district. This is an action that's taken by our board of directors. You know, something I should have said at the very, very beginning of this is just explain who we are, because a lot of people get confused sometimes. But you know, this organization, we're right now, we're called Oak Valley Sewer Services. We are a special district. We're a governmental agency. We're a public body. We have an elected board of directors, you know, of 5 people that, you know, drawn from the community that makes the decision. So everything we do is done, you know, I mean, we're really no different than, you know, a city government or an irrigation district or anything like that. So, you know, we have to comply with all the public contracting rules and all the public meeting laws and that sort of thing. I should have said that at the very beginning, but I'll catch up on that. So the next step that we would do in the formation of a reimbursement district is to hold a public hearing to actually create the district itself. And I have that tentatively scheduled for February 17th, which is in 2 weeks. That is our next board meeting. And that's going to be at noon, and it'll be done by Zoom link, you know, just like this is. And that's an official public hearing. So that's where our board of directors would hear any comments, any protests, anything that members of the public have to say. And they would then make a decision about whether or not to create the reimbursement district. They would make any decisions about how the cost allocation would be assigned, and any of that, you know, any of those legalities. If they approve the creation of the district, our next step would be is we would put it out for bid, for public bid. And we would accept bids from contractors, and we would take the low responsible bid and then start with the construction. So the timing of it overall, I mean, kind of if everything falls into place and goes as well as it can be.
Again?
Excuse me?
Can you say the time again and date?
The time, February 17th, 12 noon.
I received a notice today that it's March 17th.
That's what it says on your public notice.
Right.
Do that, okay.
March 17th.
Yeah, okay. That needs to get fixed.
So it's gonna be February?
Good luck with that.
I'll have to look at that and see. I might not be able to change it in time. Why did I say March? Maybe it is March. Okay. I'll have to double check that, but I think, yeah, now that we've noticed it, I think we're looking at March, which is probably just as well, because make sure everyone gets a chance to take a look at that. So when our board, you know, makes a decision on the reimbursement district, you know, once that happens, then we go out to a public hearing. I mean, then we go out to bid. We award the bid to a contractor and they get started. A project this size would typically take 3 to 4 months to construct. So that would put us, you know, kind of in, you know, mid-late August to get completion, which, just judging from the way, the rate at which houses are being rebuilt, that should put us in pretty good position that, you know, we'll be ready when the earliest people have their houses ready to move into, they'll be able to connect to it. So that's really our ultimate goal, is that we don't want anyone to have their rebuilding process slowed because of the availability of the sewer. Okay, so that's kind of the general process of construction. The financing, there's a couple of different options on that, and I'll go over that. You know, typically with the reimbursement district, the assessment becomes due when you take out your permit to connect.
We have 2 questions.
Okay.
One, oh,
All right, 2 questions. Let's start with Jerry.
oh, yeah, Jerry, you need to unmute.
Okay, Jerry, can you unmute yourself?
There we go.
There you go. Okay.
A quick question on this. Do you have any awareness of the insurance aspect? In other words, insurance.
I have a little bit of awareness of it. I was talking to our attorney about that. And that's one of the things I'm going to get to here in just a minute. So hopefully I'll answer that question. And if not, we'll come back.
All right, thank you.
Okay. And Bruce Perkins?
Just want to get it out there.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Chris asked a question a moment ago about who originally signed off for the building of the homes. And I think you said it was the City of Talent.
That's my belief. I'm not 100% sure of that.
So why would they not assume responsibility for undoing the wrong that's been done? Why would we be responsible for something that they signed off on? Why wouldn't they assume responsibility for the whole cost of the sewer repair?
Yeah. I don't know if I have an answer for that. I mean, that's really something that I would say would be directed towards the city. You know, my guess is that they're going to say we have nothing to do with the sewer, and you know, it's not our problem. But it's, you know.
But didn't you just say they signed off on it?
If they would have signed off on the building permits, yeah.
So they did have something to do with it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there potentially could be, but you know, I think that's something that you know, that's you would need to have some attorneys to address that. That's not something that I'm really qualified to answer.
Does anybody know if our homeowners association is hiring attorneys to pursue that?
I do not know that. But
It just seems like they should not get off the hook for something that they signed up for and then leave us with the cost.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, I don't have a better answer for you than that. I've got some other hands up. Jeremy? Jerry. Jerry, can you unmute yourself?
Oh, I am unmuted. I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
Bruce and everybody, Carl, this is Jerry Keaton. I have contacted the city. They don't take any responsibility right now, but I'm not done. And oh yeah, Carl, don't laugh. But they're low on people right now. They don't have a big staff. And so I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna have to go in. they brushed me off, didn't they, Carl? When I sent that letter.
Yeah,
It was a brush off,
kind of did, yeah.
but I'm gonna pursue it. But Carl's got a great answer for us in the meantime to get things moving so that if we want to rebuild, we can with this reimbursement district if it's approved. And yeah, I'm gonna go talk to Tura and other Talent Urban Renewal, see who can help us out there. But the city is definitely on the top of my list. Okay.
Thank you, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jane Lane. You need to unmute yourself, please.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, we got you now.
Yeah, it sounds like an advertisement, doesn't it? Anyway, how does the clubhouse tie in with all the other aspects of the financing?
They would be assessed the same way as all the houses.
Were
So
they
they
part
would-
of that? I can't remember the exact number, but was that 65 including the club?
That was one of the 65, yes, was the
Okay.
clubhouse.
Yeah, I guess that's the question I'm asking. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, so back to talking about financing. Like I said, typically the assessment would be due when the permit's issued. Someone's raising their hand here. Keith Emerson.
I don't see that.
He's just got his hand up. There are people raising their hands, just raising their hand. There's a Dorothy and there's a Keith Emerson. I'm gonna start with Keith. Can you unmute yourself?
I don't see
He's holding his hand up, but he's muted. Okay, oh, he's not, okay, okay. Okay, all right, wonders of Zoom, okay. So there's a couple of different options that we offer just kind of automatically.
Dorothy wants to say something.
Okay, Dorothy, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wrote a letter to our state senator, Jeff Golden, and he sent the request about the RVSS charges up to the state. And there is a state wildfire agency working on problems connected with that. So there is the possible help of the state on this.
Okay.
I haven't received anything back yet, but I know they're looking at it. That's number
Yeah, I
one.
mean,
Number two,
Okay.
what I hear from you is that you're a state agency and you have pretty much made the decision. It's not a decision that we're going to change. It's your decision to go ahead with that, right?
Well, we're not a state agency, we're a local government, but yeah, our board of directors are the ones that are going to make the final decision on this.
Right. Okay, thanks.
I think there was another person waving. Okay, there's Sharamka Cheltash, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
My question is, regardless of financing, once the decision is made by the board, your board, you're gonna start the sewer system and go on with the plan that you just introduced? Or is it tied to the financing? Because look like the financing is going to be an issue that can take sometimes, because it will be challenged. I'm sure the whole community is up to challenging the paying the cost for it, because it's totally unfair. Then again, we don't want to hold back the program so you can go on. Is the board going to finance the plan, or are they going to wait till they receive the money first?
No, the way this works is we would actually do the work first. And then the assessment goes against the property when the project is done and when you actually connect. So, yeah, I mean, that's You know, and it's, you know, a little bit of a, you know, a hardship because it is a pretty big project that we're going to have to kind of shuffle around our capital improvement program to get that done. But yeah, we put the money up front first on this.
That is satisfying. Thank you. I already see some other companies like electricity. They are changing the whole underground system. So they are already there. Hopefully you'll get there as soon as possible, because
Yeah,
we're gonna,
okay.
it looks like we're not gonna see anything done in 1 or 2 years. And
Oh,
that is
I hope it's,
stressful, especially to our community. Our community is a community of the older people, and time is very valuable. They don't want to keep waiting for the things to happen. And like one of my very good neighbors said, well, what you're talking about, I never will see because I'm 86 years old. And that is sad part.
okay. Well, yes, thank you for that. Let's see, I've got Alan Hallmark. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Okay, here we go.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it seems like that there's going to be funding from other sources, such as the state through the wildfire agency that's been set up, and perhaps from the city, if some pressure could be put to bear on them. If those sources come through, that would reduce any amount that we would have to pay to connect, or anybody that we sell our lots to would have to pay to connect to your sewer system, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so we need to be working on finding those other sources, whether it be city or state or county, and getting that money into the pool so that we do not have to pay the whole cost of this enlarging of the and changing of the sewer system. I wasn't
Yeah,
even
anything
aware
that you can do would
that
help.
we were connected to the BCVSA sewer system that was built back in the 90s. I thought we were part of a city sewer system. I was completely in the dark about all this. But thanks for having this meeting tonight. I appreciate that.
Okay. You're welcome. Was it Francis McCarthy? You need to unmute yourself, please. There you go.
This is Helen speaking. So as I understand is that the meeting on the 17th of March is with the board, your board of the Oak Valley Sewer, and we will be able to pass any comments. And then after that, decision will be made by your board on who financially would take care of that. Is that correct?
Yes. So the decision that the board would make would be, they would define the boundaries of the district, you know, which properties are affected by it and how the cost would be allocated to them. And, you know, we give a cost estimate at that point, and that's a maximum. So there, you know, if the project runs into problems and goes over, you wouldn't be liable for any of that. That's something that we would end up eating. So the amount that they set at that meeting is going to be the maximum assessment that each lot would have.
Okay. I don't know if my comment now is will be notified, but I agree with the gentleman who spoke earlier. I forgot his name, who said that if the city gave the okay to build homes on properties that were originally supposed to be Mobile home.
Mobile home, yeah.
Well, I think it's
The
a
city
lot of
should
their.
really bear responsibility.
They should be responsible totally for that, because every owner of the houses in the community, when we purchased houses, we we basically thought, like somebody else was saying, that we were under the city sewer system,
There were
water,
no issues in
whatever,
that department.
that there was absolutely no issue in that department. We were not informed, and I think they should take full responsibility. Would that make it that they have to pay the cash of it? There are many options to it, like, for example, give a break of taxes for a few years for the owners or whatever. But anyway, they should, I agree with the gentleman, they should take responsibility for that, because I don't know any owners who purchased their property in our community with the awareness that this was an issue.
Right, I understand. So a lot of you are raising your hands, and it's hard for us to see because we have 40 different images up here. There is a raise hand button on the screen, and if you use that, it makes it a lot easier for us. I do see you, Julia, so I'll take your question. But and if I see you, we'll be able to call on you. But it's a lot easier if you use the button that pops it up on our screen, so we know for sure that someone's trying to make a comment. So Julia, you had a comment?
Yes, so the board meeting is only in regards to the financing of it. It isn't in regards to the decision of the two options or remaining at the option that we had before of our HOA taking care of problems that arise. Because our HOA has a way of doing easements. So to me, it sounds like all we end up missing is manhole covers. Because it's been working the way it is for 25 years now. But it's a cost to the HOA, but it's a cost that arises when problems happen, not just because lots are going to be turned over or lots are going to be rebuilt.
Right. I guess the problem we have with what is right now is that it's technically not legal, to have that type of a system for a subdivision, and that's part of what we're trying to get corrected, is to bring that up so that it is a legal sewer system.
Even though it was approved and it's been working okay.
Well, the sewer system was never approved. That again is part of the issue, is that the sewer itself was approved for a mobile home park, but was never approved or accepted as a public sewer.
You said that the city approved that lots were to be built on.
Yeah, they would have issued building permits, but whether or not that counts as approval of a sewer system, I don't. That's, like I said, that's where attorneys have to argue about that. That's kind of above my pay grade on that.
Well, so that's kind of the issue of how people end up getting grandfathered into something.
Yeah, and that's come up, but I think the whole idea with grandfathering in is if the standards, if you build something that's compliant with code and then the building code changes, then you're grandfathered in, you don't have to change it. But that's not what we have here. What we have here was out of compliance the day it was built. And, we have notices to the original developers from when it was built that this is not in compliance and not acceptable. So it is a little bit different on that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. I guess I'll take Jane Lane first.
Two comments. I've had the pleasure of looking through every document I think that the homeowners got when we bought the house. And there was absolutely no mention at all of any issues with the sewer system, how it was licensed or permitted in the beginning. And the second issue is about 18 months ago, the homeowners association actually did an inspection of all the lines using robots, I believe. I don't have the results in front of me, but absolutely, we did not find any problems at all with the existing sewer system and how it was operating. So just point that out. We did take a look at it, and we have a report that stated that it was fine and it was doing everything it's supposed to do, blah, 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 blah. Thank you.
Bruce Perkins.
Yes, I just wanted to mention those who are waving their hands. It took me a while to figure out where this icon is to raise hands. So if you want to raise your hand, you go to the bottom of the screen and you click the word reactions. And then at the bottom, it says raise hand. So if you're trying to raise your hand, that's how you do it. Go to the bottom of the screen, click reactions, click raise hand. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, well, thank you for that. That helps. Tana Domick Davis. You're still muted.
Okay,
There we go.
it's not me, it's Dan.
All right. As a member, oh man,
Shut that off.
Uh-oh.
take
Got
that
two
away.
things on.
I was
Okay.
originally on the phone because I couldn't get it on my computer. Sorry. As a member of the board, I just want everybody to know that we're pursuing many avenues to figure out and try to identify responsibilities here, including the city. And as Jerry Keaton mentioned, we're approaching them already, and we're going to be approaching you a little bit more, Carl, depending
Okay.
on what you come up with. And I think it was also mentioned that the state has some wildfire recovery committees and groups that are probably going to be working on this. So I want everybody to know that, and so you can contact people on the board and find out what's going on with that. And we are just as interested as everybody else because it impacts us financially just as much as everybody. So, so we're going to fight like hell to try to make sure that that we get some assistance on this. That's it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Sharam. Is he trying to? Okay. Yep. Sharam Kate, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question about the inspection. So in 1994, when the sewer system was established, then it was inspected, and inspection, are there any documents related to inspection of the site and turn it to recording or turn it to CD, so we can rest assured what procedure was taking place and how it got approved, for what purpose it got approved, so we have something in our hand to refer to, or is it just a word of the mouth?
I have no records of any inspections on the project, so I don't know who inspected it or if anyone inspected it. I have letters back and forth between us and the developer and the city, talking about different aspects of the project, but nothing that would refer to any inspection being done.
So regarding inspection for the mobile home or the house unit, there is no evidence.
None that I have. I mean, there may be some on record at the county or the city, but there's nothing that we have in our documents.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So I was talking about financing again. Some options that we offer, just independent of anything that might happen with the state or any other type of financing, is we do have a provision where we will finance any assessment over a period of up to 20 years, if that's if that's something that you want. We do charge an interest rate which is set at prime plus 2%, so it's probably going to be higher than what you're going to be able to get from most banks. But it is an option that's available to you if you want to take advantage of that. We also have a provision where we can defer assessments. And under that scenario, if we approved you for a deferral, you wouldn't have to pay anything, and it would be paid whenever the property changed ownership. So it would be a lien against the property that would be paid off when you sold it. And under that approach, it is indexed to inflation, so it would increase each year. It wouldn't be a static thing, but again, that's available. I mentioned earlier that I did have a conversation with our attorney, and he's actually been doing a lot of insurance adjustments since the fire, and he believes that most people's homeowners insurance would just flat out cover this. It wouldn't be an issue. They have clauses in most policies that account for changes that are needed to bring stuff up to current code. So in that case, I mean, that's something that you would need to check with your insurance agents and to see if that's covered, because that may take away a lot of the problems that we're facing here if that's just flat out covered by the insurance. We did have a discussion at our last board meeting about whether or not RVSS would be willing to subsidize part of that to keep some of the costs down. The board did not make any decision, but they did express a willingness to help in some way. So that is a potential option, and that's something that would be discussed at when we have the public hearing. What I'm thinking right now, since there's a really good chance that insurance is going to cover it for most people, I would expect that any contribution that our board would put towards this would probably be limited to people who, for whatever reason, were underinsured and didn't have that coverage. But again, that's a board decision, so we'll see what progresses in that, and probably by the time we have that meeting, we might know more information. That was the last thing I had on my agenda. So I guess I'll just kind of open it up and see if there's any other questions or comments or suggestions. I know one person mentioned that they'd been in contact with Jeff Golden about possible getting some state help. Really, any pressure you guys could put on at the state level, that would be helpful. I know I did get a query from Pam Marsh's legislative assistant asking for information about that, and they might be looking at some options as well, but I don't know if where that's going. I see some hands up. I'll start with Tana Domek. Am I saying that right? You need to unmute yourself, please.
Okay, I think it is.
Is it? Yes.
Okay, we got you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my wife's name. So
okay,
she's the brain. She's the brains of the family. So
okay.
I just wanted to say that regarding what Tom Lane had mentioned, the board had an inspection done by robot of the smaller pipeline. I think it was only the 4-inch, just to because we were a little nervous about having a problem, and it came through clear. There is a record of that, and a video as well of the inspection. So it may just be a moot point anyway, because I think to reconnect, we're going to have to reconnect according to code. Isn't that right, Carl? Do I understand?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, that was it. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions from anybody? I have a thumbs up from Francis. Okay. All right. Hand up from Kathleen F. There we go.
Can you show the map again and include
Yes.
the whole thing because, thank you.
Let's see, where is that? Share screen. Okay. Is there any part in particular you wanted me to zoom in on?
The whole thing, top and all the way
Okay.
to the top.
I'll back out.
There you, almost.
Almost.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
Thank you.
And, you know, I can send, if anyone wants a copy of this, I'm happy to send it to them. If you want to just shoot me an email tomorrow and I'll send it right over to you. All right. Any other questions? Turn that off so I can see things. Okay. Julia, did you have a question? I need you to unmute if you do. There we go.
In terms of the piping, I would imagine that bigger households would need larger pipes. But we only have like 1 or 2 people living in each of our houses, even compared to mobile homes that may have a whole family of 5 living there.
Yeah, the public sewer standards don't necessarily take that into account. You know, the pipe size limits are really primarily dictated by the size of the equipment we use to maintain them. You know, and that's why, you know, plumbing code standards, you know, would allow you to use a smaller pipe than a public sewer, because the public sewer, the expectation is that we're going to be the ones maintaining it using, you know, the typical equipment that we use to take care of pipes. And that's why the minimum size is set at 8 inches. So it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't necessarily, you know, just to give you an example, an 8-inch pipe at minimum grade can easily handle about 300 or 400 houses. But it's still the minimum size, even if there's only 2 or 3 houses. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, we just don't know why these codes came about or whether they're actually very useful.
Oh, okay.
Francis McCarthy.
Okay, Francis.
Yes, Helen, actually. First of all, I want to thank you for the great job that you're doing, that you have done. It's a lot of work. It's quite a challenge. I want to thank you for that. I also want to say that you were mentioning the insurance earlier. That in another hand, the insurance, you know, that people are insured or underinsured and all of that. It's an easy way out because people that are insured, I'm sure we have, I'm sure that most of the people of the community, even though they do have good insurance, I feel that it is an abuse to just think that, oh, the insurance will pay for that, because in the rebuilding of our home, everybody knows that it will cost us way much more than what it was, than if we want to do the same thing than what it was before. So, and that the insurance will not cover the rebuilding as well as the content of the house. So I feel that talking about the insurance is a kind of abusing the availability of the insurance. That's what I want to say. However, you certainly have done a great job. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't see any other hands up. So if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. You know, I do want to say, you know, I thank you all for coming, and I thank you for all your questions. And hopefully, you know, as we move forward in this, we're going to do this in a way that, you know, is good for everybody and doesn't cause too much hardship. And certainly, you know, my contact information, I think, is on the notices that I've sent out, or, you know, anyone can call us up. But if you have any questions, follow up anytime. You can send me an email or give me a call, and I'd be happy to provide you with whatever information I can on this. And okay, so a question came in from Julia about the fire didn't cause the problem, so why would the insurance pay? I had that same question when I talked to our attorney about that, and his answer was that he believes it would. It'd be similar to, you know, if your house was built with 2x4 walls and now you're building back with 2x6 walls because the insurance requires it now, or the building codes require that now. That would be something that insurance would typically cover, that type of an upgrade. Again, this is what our attorney's telling me, so that's where I'm coming with that. Okay, Jerry.
Yes, I know you're trying to get, you've done a great job, first of all.
No, I'm here for you, so as long as it takes.
But I think that the theme that I really believe in, I think each of us, one of the first steps that we have to take is to check with our insurance and really see, you know, what is covered, and make sure we have that law and ordinance as an endorsement. And if it's there, it's a moot point on what the cost is going to be. And I know you don't want to abuse the insurance company, but how many years have we paid into the insurance to cover situations just like this? But I felt like the first step is just check with our insurance to see where we're at, I think, on that. And again, I do thank you. You've done a great job again.
And it might be just a separate line item, you know, under laws and ordinances, things that will come up with the rebuilding. So it's not going to come out of your replacement cost for your house. If you have that separate endorsement on there, it'll be a separate item. So just check on that and find out if your insurance covers it.
Okay, yes. And then Kathleen again? You're muted still. There we go.
Will we be getting confirmation about the public hearing again, or can we just count on it being the 17th of March?
We'll stick with it being in March. That's what we sent out, so that's what we'll stick with.
All right.
And we'll proceed on that.
Thank you.
Okay. I noticed some people put some questions in the chat room, and let me see if I can get those addressed. Someone asked if the new system would be a community sewer system or a public sewer system. It would be a public sewer. All the maintenance would be something that we would do as the sewer provider. So you would not have any responsibility for maintaining the sewer system once it's built. What's that?
A monthly fee.
Well, yeah, insurance, rebuilding costs. Question: has the neighborhood ever required intervention because of the existing malfunction? That I do not know. I mean, we haven't been in there to do any of it. That's all been the HOA has been handling that, so they would be the ones who would answer that question. Would Oak Valley homeowners pay the sewer fees? Each homeowner would get a bill from us. So the HOA would not pay any sewer fees. It would all be a bill directly from us. Our current rates are $21.50 a month for a single family home. Another new message. Oh, I think that's all. Okay. So I'll say once again, thank you all for coming. And, you know, if you think of anything, anytime in the next few weeks, few months, and, you know, need a question, just give me a call. And like I said, we're more than happy to give you whatever information I have that might be useful to you. Okay, thank you and good night.